Joe Burrow will be healthy and be ready for week 1 of the NFL season. Joe Burrow would be ready for week 1 of the NFL season. This is a remarkable feat, and I hope it's right. I hope it happens. But I'm not going to bank everything on it because I would rather see his long-term health protected than rush him back. But the doctor who operated on Burrow's knee in December has said, quote, it's all systems go for the September 12th regular season opener against the Vikings. Again, that's from his surgeon that operated on his tore-up knee. What's crazy about this is that if you rip your knee the next season, it's not odd for you to be able to come back. What is crazy is how late in the season this happened. Joe Burrow suffered his injury to his knee on November 22nd. He didn't have surgery until December 2nd. December 2nd. And remember, this was no light knee surgery. He had ripped up everything in that knee. He had the knee surgery December 2nd, and his surgeon says he should be ready, all systems go, for week 1 this year. His surgeon said he's on track for full go start of the season. He's doing all of the work. He's worked his tail off, been an amazingly mature participant in the recovery. He's focused and great to work with. This makes me so happy, although I will admit I'm cautiously optimistic, because Joe Burrow has a long, successful, perhaps great career in front of him, and I don't want to see anything submarine that. I don't want to see that compromised. The most important thing Joe Burrow has is mentally his ability to see the field, understand the defense, see what's happening in front of him, while also being an honest-to-goodness, authentic leader and a believer in being great. Those are not always two things that go hand in hand. To see the field, understand your job at a high level as a rookie, but also have a maturity and a belief that's not hokey, that really does get guys to go, yep, kid's got it. Russell Wilson struggles with this. Russell Wilson has always struggled with this. He wants to be Mr. Positive. He wants to be Mr. Unlimited. But it's hard to rally around Russ. He's great. It's easy to play with Russ because his passes are so crisp and he's so good at the job. It extends plays, etc. But it's hard to be in that huddle, or it's hard to be in practice and hear Mr. Unlimited. And that kind of wince like, okay, cornball. It's not always easy. Aaron Rodgers has a great belief in himself. Aaron Rodgers is a great quarterback, but Aaron Rodgers can keep people at arm's length. Aaron Rodgers can be a little elitist in his football ability. And Aaron Rodgers isn't necessarily always the jump on my back guy. Burrow's got that at such an early age. That Burrow's arm is great, his mind is great in terms of picking apart the defense, but there is an absolute authenticity to his leadership style. He's a regular guy who is playing the most important position, and he's brilliant at it. It is so hard, and there's a seriousness there as well. Brett Favre was a regular guy, but sometimes was too much of a clown, and he's a Hall of Fame quarterback, one of the greatest of all time. So this bar is obviously really high that I'm talking about. But at some points, it was a little too silly and jokey with Favre, even on the field on days that he would throw like 5 interceptions in a playoff game. Burrow's never going to do that because Burrow's ultimately really serious. He's at his base a serious guy, but it doesn't push people away. I just think that Burrow's attitude is so obvious that he's just this natural-born leader. And so the knee is important. It's not the most important. The most important is his mind. So just to make sure the knee is right and you're not taking him out of commission because you're pushing that knee back too soon. I have to hope that the Bengals are uber protective with Joe Burrow because they understand what's at stake. I have to hope and pray that the Bengals don't mess up his knee like other great Bengals players have had their knees tore up and never to be the same again. Quarterback Greg Cook back in the early 70s was a good example. Kajana Carter, the number 1 overall pick for the Bengals back in the 90s. I mean, the Bengals have had some tough top draft picks and knee injuries and then never be the same. I just hope beyond hope that it is ultimately, if he has to miss the first month of the season, fine. And if the Bengals are 0-4, fine. Because this is not about 2021. It's not about September 1st or September 12th. This is about year 3 and 4 and 5 and 7 and 10 and 12. Is it realistic for Joe Burrow to play opening week? I think with modern science, yes. Is that the smartest thing in the world? I don't know. If all systems are go, he feels great, doctors feel great, and unbiased, unattached doctors from the Bengals feel like it's fine, like his surgeon who operated on him, then I would feel comfortable. If it's the Bengals themselves, if it's the Bengals doctors, then I worry a little bit about rushing him back. And if it's just Joe Burrow, hey, sometimes you got to protect young guys from themselves. If Burrow comes back to play week 1 and shows no ill effects from tearing his ACL in late November, it is one of the most remarkable stories in terms of quickness of comeback in the NFL. And I'll never forget watching Adrian Peterson, which is not that long ago, but I'm sure I will remember this until I'm very old and gray, coming back from a torn ACL and then playing the next season and having nearly set the single season rushing record at 2,100 yards and breaking Dickerson's record. I'm like, this can't happen. You can't have torn your ACL last year and this year be the best version of yourself at running back to set records. But he was. Modern science, health-wise, for both sports and just the natural, everyday Joe, is so extraordinary. To cook up a vaccine for a pandemic in less than a year is staggering. It is staggering that 1 year ago, people were terrified of even seeing one another, traveling, going any place, being with family. We're selling out of toilet paper, can't get Windex anywhere, can't get any type of cleaning goods anywhere. People are totally freaked out. A year later, no masks, people hanging out, everybody's vaxxed up, having a good time. Having a good time. Like that speed with which technology and health and science works is extraordinary in 2021. It's extraordinary. The leaps that are made every single day. I was talking about amputees the other day and just how exemplary prosthetics are now, to the point where you can be an Olympian athlete and by bionics and by technology and by science, you know, you're like a superhuman now. It's just unbelievable in many ways, the type of things that science and the medical community now accomplish. And Joe Burrow's knee is one of those. The guy had surgery December 2nd and is on pace to play week 1 of the NFL season. And Mraz, it's not like he had like a sprained knee or it was just the ACL. He shredded everything in that knee. I mean, everything, which is what made it so devastating when it happened. Oh, my God. It's his rookie season, late November, and he shredded everything in his knee. Does that take him out for all of next year as well, we talked about? Does that take him out until Thanksgiving of 2021? And instead, he's on pace, which says a lot about Joe Burrow's work and his attitude and how he's taken this. But it says a lot about just where science is. Gale Sayers tears his ACL. He is never the same. He wears a giant metal brace on his knee at running back for the rest of his career. Think about that. At running back, the guy wore a metal brace around his knee. Now, fast forward 50 years later, and Joe Burrow could shred every ligament in his knee and be back before the calendar year. The guy could get injured late November, have surgery December 2nd, and be ready early September. This is remarkable, and I just hope they don't rush him back.
I hope so, too. They've invested minimally. They signed Riley Reif to play right tackle. They took a second-round Clemson tackle, Jackson Carman, because their offensive line's been bad. They need to protect Joe Burrow. But, DA, I mean, think about Dak Prescott's leg is pointed in the opposite direction. He's a full go for minicamp. Minicamp that happened at the end of October. So this is going to, I think, now be the norm with modern medicine, that we should no longer be surprised at these recovery timetables, because although they're different injuries, both were devastating injuries, and the timelines for both Dak Prescott and Joe Burrow just playing this year are incredible compared to, as you pointed out, with Gale Sayers.
Think about when it used to be a full calendar year was the minimum time you were out for an ACL tear, so that Dak Prescott would not have been back until October of this year at the earliest, and Joe Burrow wouldn't be back until December of this year at the earliest. And instead, both of them are on track to start week 1 of the NFL season. It's awesome. It's one of the best things that happened to sports, because, back in the day, it was like, wow, an ACL injury, that could affect the rest of your career forever. And who knows how long you're out, and who knows if you ever get back. And now it's like any other injury. It is extraordinary. I mean, Tommy John's the same way. I mean, Tommy John used to be, your career's never going to be the same. You're out minimum a year, maybe longer than that, maybe a year and a half. And now, these surgeons are so good. The training and the comebacks are so on point. The rehab is so smart that we don't have to lose these guys for a full year, year and a half, never be the same, et cetera, which is awesome. I mean, the Adrian Peterson thing still doesn't even make any sense to me, because the guy is using his knee on every play to cut, to take abuse, to be tackled on. He's an enormous human being. He's huge and strong and heavy up top. And the guy ripped his ACL, I think it was December of the previous season, if I'm not mistaken. And he comes back for week 1 of the next year and goes for nearly 2,100 yards. That one will always blow my mind.